Hi, my name's Chase, and I'm craving ramen. Those of you who know me should not be a surprise. But today, I don't feel like doing instant noodles. I want something more substantial. But I also don't feel like going out. It's quite the conundrum. So, I figured maybe I should try takeout ramen. It's not something I do very often. I typically want to be there. The second it comes out of the kitchen is the best time to start eating ramen. I know that's not always an option. There was things like the pandemic where I did have to order ramen out. But the question is it as good as eating it in the restaurant? So I figured I would choose a ramen bar that I have already been to and already done a ramen review on said restaurant. I'm also kind of lazy and didn't want to drive too far. So I decided to pick the first ramen restaurant that is closest to my house that I have also reviewed on the channel. So again, my name's Chase, this is Ramen Review. If you like anything ramen related, feel free to hit that subscribe button because that's all I talk about on this channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my regular uploads. And let's get slurping. Jinya Ramen Bar. So the first time I reviewed Jinya Ramen Bar in Sugar House, Salt Lake City, Utah, I went with my go-to tonkatsu spicy. So I've tried to recreate this as closely as I could, with everything in my power, to have the same ramen. So here we've got our tonkatsu spicy, spice level hot. In the original video, I did add a seasoned egg and I also added the pork Sapporo, which is spicy ground pork. So I got the same add-ons, same thick noodles, and actually this is the pork Sapporo. I will say, I think there was a lot more of this in the restaurant. Maybe I'm hallucinating or imagining, I don't know. And then we just have some nice fresh garlic. So, how do we prepare all of this goodness? We do have a little card with a QR code on it for preparation. I don't know if you can see that very well. Then it's got a backside for the noodles. So I'm just gonna read these instructions out loud, so hopefully this will help you when you wanna do takeout ramen. Prepare your noodles the way the restaurant at least suggests. I haven't even looked at this yet. It might not be how I would typically do it, but we're gonna find out. Pour soup over your noodles and toppings. Reheat your ramen for 2 minutes and 30 seconds covered. Happy slurping. Well, that sounds easy enough. Then there's how to prepare uncooked noodles on the back. Yes, we sell uncooked noodles. Just ask your server for recommendations. So yeah, you basically just need to boil a bunch of water. Thin noodles take 45 seconds is all. Thick noodles, 3 minutes. And kale noodles, 2 minutes. Just strain and you're good to go. So I'm assuming these are cooked noodles and I just need to follow the front part of the card, I hope. Let's get slurping. All right, so these are some pretty heavy duty containers. I kind of don't feel like this is all gonna fit in the same bowl. I don't know if you can see that. We've got the mushrooms, the green onion, our scallion, the pork chashu, our egg, and then the noodles are below. We'll do a noodle pull in a minute, but I mean, that bowl already looks pretty damn full and this feels really full. All right, so I guess I just hope this all fits together. Kind of nervous. That barely fits. You can probably hear the microwave going. I apologize if that screws up the sound. You might notice I did not add the pork Sapporo yet or the garlic. And that is strictly because I don't think it could fit in that bowl without it all boiling over in the microwave. Anyways, these are cooking and I'm hungry. Let's try out the gyozas. Got some dipping sauce. If you know me, I love dipping. If you're not dipping things and dipping things, you're doing it wrong. Said it once, I'll say it again. I already cheated. I had 2 of these while I was getting everything set up. And they were amazing. They were still extremely hot, but extremely flavorful. I'm curious to see now that it's been a few minutes how they've held up in a styrofoam container compared to eating them fresh at the restaurant. Because they can, in theory, I think they kind of continue to steam themselves in this tiny confined styrofoam spot, which I like a good pan sear on my gyozas. Their gyozas are consistently some of the best I've ever had. Ramen's ready. I'm gonna have another one of these first, though. I'm pleasantly surprised. I will say, I do feel like they've continued to kind of steam themselves in the styrofoam container. Kind of lost the crunch or the edge of the pan-fried gyoza, which I love. That is such a flavorful gyoza. I could eat these all day, every day. As I suspected, this is extremely hot. It feels like this pork's still relatively warm, so I'm not too concerned that it didn't get cooked in there. But let me just show you how full this is, and the reason I haven't added these delicious things yet. This is our tonkatsu spicy heat level hot, which is the hottest option. We have our chashu, we have our mushrooms, we've got our seasoned egg, and my mouth is watering. All right, this feels like I might want to put this in a bigger bowl, but I kind of want to eat it as intended. So let's, it's noodle bowl time! My favorite. A little underwhelming. It's not the most satisfying noodle pull ever, but it is holding on to the broth really well. Oh yeah, speaking of, slurping time! Oh, that's nice and thick and creamy, as a tonkatsu should be. It's got a nice color of red, so I'm hoping it's nice and spicy. Yeah, that's spicy tonkatsu, alright. That'll cure what ails you. Delectable. The broth is creamy, it's smooth, it coats your tongue, it coats the noodles, it's silky, it's thick. So now let's go for the first noodle taste. Good noodles. Great texture. Great temperature. Let's try a bit of this chashu. I think I mentioned this in the last review. I do feel like it's not the most generous portion of chashu you'll find anywhere. But if I recall, it always tastes really well. So let's go ahead and give this chashu a bite. Great texture, falls apart in your mouth. Got a little bit of smokiness to it. Again, the only complaint I have about it is probably the portion size. Overall, they did a fantastic job with this. Those mushrooms are a perfect addition to the noodles. They just add just enough variety and texture. And then add the bean sprout, and then you have a new third, like, depth and dimension of texture. And I don't know about you all, but I'm a big texture person. That's why I didn't like chashu for a long time. It was too fatty, too soft for my palate in my young years. But as I've grown more mature, I've gained a more refined palate. Or at least that's what I tell myself. So now, let's get into some additional things. I will say, I feel like the pork sapporo is less than generous, which is fine. I already know this bowl's heavy, so I don't really need any more than that. Just an observation. Just add all this delicious pork in there. Now let's add the garlic. This is all just minced garlic. I will say, I do prefer full cloves of garlic in my ramen. A, because you get the garlic flavor, which is amazing. B, I really love when you get one of those bites with a clove of garlic in your ramen. The garlic is free of charge. All right, let's give this a nice stir. And this should be approximately, I mean, in theory, identical to the same bowl I had when I went to the restaurant. All right, now that we got everything the way it should be in comparison, let's give it a whirl. Garlic, spot on. That just kicks that up just a notch, just a new dimension in flavor. The pork Sapporo, it's as good as I remember. Should we test the egg? I think we should test the egg. Do you think we should test the egg? I'm gonna test the egg. Smush it open. Okay. Take two. Take three. Take five. This egg is as stubborn as I am. I've never had to take a steak knife to an egg fight. I don't know if you can see the egg. It's cooked pretty well. For whatever reason, it felt really tough. I could not, for the life of me, open that up with squeezing two chopsticks. But let's get a little bit of broth with half of this egg and see if it's excellent. I feel like it's an old egg or something. Still has a good egg flavor. I switched out the Sapporo for water, so that's healthier, right? At the restaurant, I had a Sapporo. All right, let's get back into the thick of the stuff. Oh, look at that. That is a primo bite. I just had a thought regarding that egg. Maybe the difference is because it went through the microwave. Maybe it was the microwave process that just changed the consistency of the egg just enough to make it noticeably different in texture. Let's get into the actual review. And should you or should you not do takeout or delivery ramen? And is this your preferred method of reheating it, re-preparing it? Let me know in the comments below how you prepare your takeout or delivery ramen. Is delivery or ramen takeout as good as if you eat it at the restaurant? I personally never preferred to do takeout or delivery ramen. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to eat it the second that bowl gets on my table when it's at its prime. Broth first. The broth is still great. I will give this broth an 8 out of 10. The noodles, I almost feel like, again, maybe it's the microwaving process. I do feel the noodles have a different texture and chewiness to them. They came already pre-cooked, so reheating them, I think, did have a negative effect on the texture of the noodles. I'm going to give the noodles a 7 out of 10. Now, add-ons, additions, toppings, whatever you want to call them. This is where I think it's going to take the biggest hit. The egg, which Jinya I've always thought has had a really good ramen egg. That was probably my least favorite ramen egg I've had in a really long time. Probably the microwave process. That's the only thing I can figure out because I've never had a bad egg in Jinya. The pork Sapporo tasted fine. It tasted just how I remember. I do feel the portion was lacking. I think it was far less generous than at the restaurant. Again, the mushrooms and the sprouts add just a nice dimension of texture to the noodles and its overall satisfactory experience. So overall, I'm gonna give the Jinya Spicy Tonkatsu Pickup Edition 7 out of 10. I did rate this exact bowl at the restaurant an 8 out of 10. I just think there are some things that aren't inevitable in the process of having to reheat a bowl of ramen at home. Skip the delivery, skip the takeout, throw on some pants, throw on some shoes, go enjoy this bowl at the restaurant. But also, I'm not wearing pants, so I also have that benefit. Just kidding. Anyways, my name's Chase. This is the Ramen Review. Thank you so much for tuning in on today's ramen rating of takeout and delivery ramen compared to restaurants. If you like what you saw, feel free to hit the thumbs up button. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Leave comments below how you feel about delivery and takeout ramen. Thank you so much for joining, and until next time, thank you.